Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to Tubi Tuesday, and it is the season finale of Tubi Tuesday. This very weird, very bad quality of movie-wise. I hope I did pretty good this season with my reviews. But quality of movie quality-wise, not so much. And it seems I've saved the weirdest movie for all. And, I was surprised at how weird this movie turned out to be because it is a trauma film. It's Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. Or as I would just be putting in the title of this video, Poultrygeist. Because I'm not going to do Tubi Tuesday, Poultrygeist, I'm not going to do that. Night of the Chicken Dead. So we're just going to say Poultrygeist. And, yeah, it's a weird one. But it's trauma, so I should expect it. But this was weirder. Now keep in mind, I've only seen a toxic Avenger movies. Right? And there's also something to be said about how far you get into the run of a movie studio. Like, look at the later films in the Full Moon catalog. Some of the early ones are actually pretty well done. And then you get stuff like Killjoy or Evil Bong. And you're like, what? Or Ginger Dead Man, right? And you're kind of wishing you're watching things like Subspecies or Meridian or Trancers or Oblivion. But no, you're watching the later stuff. And it seems, while Trauma always had that weird reputation of schlock on schlock on schlock, covered in shit with more schlock, this takes the cake, the shit-covered cake. Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, is a black comedy musical horror film directed by Lloyd Kaufman, who also appears in the film, and plays a character so obvious to who he is, but they don't really reveal it till later, if they even do. And my God, I don't know why it took me so long to catch on to the names in this movie. I just realized, oh, wait a minute. So we have Poultrygeist is the plot of this movie is that a fast food chicken restaurant is being picketed by some protesters. And due to the fact that it was built on a Native American burial ground, that Native Americans start to take over the chicken and cause people to turn to chicken zombies. So, yes, the media takes place at a fast food restaurant. There are some wordplay. So, we start with two of our main characters, Arby and Wendy. Just sit with that for a minute. Arby, by the way, spelled Arbie. Arby. Your stereotypical nerd. They are dry humping. So, let me go off on a little rant here. I've never understood the concept of dry humping, other than it won't get anyone pregnant. But I don't understand why you call it dry humping, because at least from the men's point of view, either point of view actually, you're not gonna stay dry. So why is it? Because, I don't know. But it turns into actual sex, which confuses me as to why they were dry humping to begin with. And they're, in the spirit of Cemetery Man, they're doing it on a tombstone in the Native American burial ground for some reason. As weird. And if you think it's weird that they're just having sex, it gets weirder. Bunch of dead arms pop out from the grave. A grave that you could only contain one person, yet there's like 7 arms. And I say 7 because there's like 3 on the side and one that comes up and just goes straight into Arby's. You know what hole? And it is not these undead arms that stop them. It's when this fat guy shows up choking his own chicken, if you know what I mean. While holding an axe for some reason. And they're like, hey, and they leave. And there is dialogue here, if you can hear it, where Wendy's going to go off to college. And one thing about Trauma is they're not shy about just stating the obvious, where she's like, oh, I'm going to go to college, it's going to be fine, and nothing is going to change at all. And I'm like, well, then you just pretty much guaranteed it is going to change. Flash forward to one college semester later, the Native American burial ground has been destroyed, though much like with Poultrygeist, get rid of the gravestones, but you left the bodies! Apparently, because they built this chicken restaurant on top of it. What is it called? American Chicken Bunker is what it's called. ACB. Mega conglomerate fast food franchise has turned the place from it. Yeah. And then when RB gets there, he realizes that Wendy is now according to this movie, left-wing lipstick lesbo liberal. She's a lesbian and she's now fighting for the Native American burial ground. Turned so by her new girlfriend, Nikki. Nikki or Mickey? Mickey. Yes. So Arby does what he can to get revenge. He decides to work for the fast food restaurant. Yes. Get a job at American Chicken Bunker. Out under the supervision of his paranoid manager, Denny. Yeah. His other co-workers include Paco Bell, who is he's quite obviously gay, but they don't get to it till later. Redneck Carl Jr. For those of you who are from the northern states, that would be Hardee's, but Carl Jr. And then for some reason they stop at the fast food things, and there's a Muslim character named Hummus. Hummus? I don't know. And then there is a chicken mascot. Yeah. Who we find out more about later. Yeah. The Wikipedia article completely cuts over Jared. And if you've seen this movie, you know what happens to Jared. There's a very overweight, I don't know, is he a customer? I don't know. Whose name is Jared. Jared, who is a spokesperson for a submarine sandwich company. Yes, it's supposed to be that Jared. Because it megahertz. And so he eats this weird throbbing egg and then proceeds to have to run to the bathroom and has to take a shit while still eating the food on the plate. And then Scotty got horrified. Because as I often do, I'll get up and I'll walk in the living room. Right? So I happened to be standing right in front of the television set as this scene played out. And I could not move. I was so horrified from what I saw. So first of all, it causes him to take a shit. And then it keeps going and going and going. And then it goes all over the walls and the floor. And you know that scene from Dumb and Dumber? But it's actually shit. I was waiting for freaking Bob Saget to show up and goes, there's shit everywhere! Because there is. And if that's not enough, we get a Hellraiser reference because a thinner version of Jared flips through the big fat guy and runs out. He's no skin. He's just muscle tissue. I'm skinny. And poor Arby walks in on this afterwards. The owner of the chicken joint, General Leroy, does not want any kind of bad publicity with all those others, so he doesn't mention anything about anything that happens here. Yeah. Meanwhile, Paco, you know how many times I'm watching this movie and I have to explain this. So I have to try to explain this in a way that so they are grinding meat into a grinder, and Paco decides he wants to fight against this intolerance. So he adds some special mayonnaise to the chicken, if you know what I mean. And then the chicken comes alive and puts him through the grinder. Not a metaphor, a real grinder. And then he gets turned into what they call a Sloppy Jose, which is a chicken version of a Sloppy Joe. But he's a Sloppy Paco. I don't know. So the plot that we get going is that these are the spirits of disenfranchised Native Americans and the billions of slaughtered chickens sent to the concentration camps who plan on exacting their revenge in the most gruesome ways possible. Because Paco tells them that. He's now a sandwich with eyeballs. Reminds me of the all-fat sketch Cheeseburger Doyle. Blah, blah, blah. He's a talking cheeseburger. Yeah, that reminds me of that. Looks like it too. We just need Dad to really do the voice. I'm Cheeseburger Doyle. Yeah. And then, fourth time, because the opening, and then Jarrett, and then Paco, and now Carl Jr. I have to describe this. Carl Jr. has a fetish for uncooked meat. He takes a whole chicken and proceeds to choke it. I don't know how to explain this. He makes love to the chicken. The uncooked full chicken. But then the chicken comes alive and attacks him by biting his you-know-what. It's cockajumbo. Hummus shows up and manages to kill it by shoving a broom up Carl's ass to kill it. And the cockajumbo gets torn off. And somehow Carl Jr. is still alive from this. And they have to take him to the hospital. But General Leroy, not wanting any of bad publicity to happen, refuses to let him leave the restaurant. By the way, this is also a musical, and there are several songs that go through this, including ones where there's just tits everywhere. I don't know. Soundtrack. What was the song? For some reason, I had stuck in my head for a little while. It went away. The soundtrack. Clear. Bumming tacos. I meet you, vegan horse. I can't remember. I gotta figure out what the song is. Milk, lemonade, my meat, you vegan. That's a dialogue. Red Planet. Avengers the dish best served fried. Clear. Poultrygeist. I don't know. But it was like in my head for a few minutes, but it went away. Thank God. Anyway, we're not done. Not by far. So, at some point, General Leroy comes out there and offers the people out there free chicken. This chicken, which had gooey Carl Jr. blood squirt all over it, everyone eats it. Yeah. Carl Jr., having seen an alcohol drink, when he had alcohol, he poured it on the chicken earlier, and it burned it. So he knows that it's alcohol, but Arby's not getting the hint. So he pours the alcohol on him, and it kills him. Yeah. Mickey then declares the chicken to be delicious, so everyone goes inside the restaurant to eat it. And then Wendy discovers that Mickey was actually paid by General Leroy to endorse it. So she breaks up with her and returns to Arby. But the poisoned chicken sickens the customer. Then Leroy is forced to eat it in front of the customers because the cameras are there. And it's obviously a nasty looking piece of chicken when he eats anyway. Well, why is it delicious? And then he doesn't have the same. It doesn't have the same effect on him as it did Jarrett. I'll tell you that much. But he ends up laying an egg, which hatches a giant zombie chicken thingy. It bites his head off. Yeah. And then the Colonel becomes a giant egg and hatches into a giant chicken zombie. Then he leads everyone back into the kitchen and, well, they steal dialogue from Jaws. Because I was in a bathroom and I was on my way out and he was talking and I'm like, you see its eyes. It's black eyes. And I'm like, that's Jaws! You are... he's decapitated by the general who has come back as this chicken. Oh, yeah. And so the customers, the workers, the protesters are all turned into zombie chickens. The mascot shows up. It's Lloyd Kaufman. He reveals himself earlier. And he's dressed exactly like Artie. He tells his backstory, which is Artie's backstory. But they don't really reveal it. I mean, they don't really connect it yet. Now he shows up, shoots all of them with an N16 machine gun that he has stored. Apparently he was going to lead a charge on something. I don't know. Just before he could shoot the General Leroy zombie and finish him off, he gets interrupted he gets his nose ripped off by the now zombie chicken Denny. By the way, there is a joke. Denny's like, I'm going to open my own restaurant. Denny's. That's a payoff to his name, I guess. Arby then shoots and kills Denny. Then Wendy comes up with a brilliant idea to stop the chickens from attacking them. She turns the open sign to closed. And it works. The mascot is still alive and tells Arby that he is actually the future version of himself. I have a big problem with this because it's painfully obvious that that's who it is. But at no point during this film does he ever try to stop this from happening. If he is the future version of Arby, why didn't he try to stop this? Also, the ending to this movie doesn't make any sense with the knowledge that he turns into a chicken zombie. Mickey, who tries to escape, is also turned into a zombie chicken. She tries to leave. It isn't. She and the mascot zombie chicken chase after Arby and Wendy. Hummus drinks a meat steroid in an attempt to save them and accidentally kills herself in the process. So Arby then has this speech where he figures out that beer kills the chicken, and he has this whole big old speech, and then it cuts back, and then there's a cut, and it just goes like, she killed them all, she figured it out. No. Not a beer, but it was saved by Hummus, who is still alive, despite exploding, but she's, and I like how they're just like, Hummus, you're alive, how? I don't know. Paco is also still alive, despite having been eaten by the Colonel earlier. He's fine. Then Hummus says she has to sacrifice herself again to save them. And she's like, by the way, Hummus is portrayed as Muslim. She's got the coverings and everything. All body's covered. And she just goes like this. And she's a beautiful, white, blonde woman with big tits. In her underwear. And then Arby's just like, oh my God, Hummus, you're so hot. I want you to go down on me right now. I'm just like, what? And Wendy's like, she has to sacrifice herself. So she blows up the building. Oh, also there's a subplot with a little girl. This woman wants them to find her daughter. And she's in a wheelchair. She's in a wheelchair? If that helps. That did make me laugh a little bit. They find her. Right? So then, this is why the ending of this movie makes no sense in the context. There's a future Artie. Okay? Arby. Arby, Wendy, and the little girl get in a car, they drive. Arby, your little girl's a little bit shaken up, so Arby gives her a beer. Don't give children beer. But it also starts to mess up her stomach. She then lays an egg, and it results in them being distracted enough to crash into another car. It flips over and explodes, killing everyone. Now you see how this makes no sense, seeing as Arby was supposed to survive and somehow travel back to the past. Do you see? Do you see why this ending makes no sense? The knowledge that Artie will one day travel back to the past to participate in events of these movies, Artie can then not die at the end of this movie. Oh, but it changes the future. Yeah, but then that means that the past will now change, because if Artie dies, right, here, then he won't get old and he won't be around to help save them. So it changes. Yeah. Also, I'm going to give it to casting, because the guy they cast to play the young Arby, he could play a young Lloyd Kaufman, let me tell you. You know, they did very good casting on that. And that's how it ends. I just don't think they know how to end this movie. I'm not giving a rating for this movie because there's only one rating to give, and that's so bad, it's good. Which means at some point in the future, Many years from now, I have to do another. I'm gonna do a So Bad It's Good cinema on it, because it's trauma. It's So Bad It's Good. I can't. There's so much. How many times I have to explain this 4 or 5 times in this movie. I said that. And there's just so many scenes. There's musical sequences and there's just boobs. And then there's the chicken zombies. There's this woman who's a little overweight that pulls out the shirt. She's like, and the chicken is like, and she's like, I'm like, the hell's going on? Like, what? The chicken zombie just pulled your shirt off. Your tits are hanging out. This is a chicken zombie, and I don't know. Also, there's a scene in which Artie has a musical scene, right? And then he thinks that he's back with Wendy, and he's having a threesome with her and Mickey. And then it cuts. At one point, he's just licking a hairy dude, and then it cuts again, and he's humping the cash register. So which was it? I don't know. This movie is weird. So what are your thoughts on Poultrygeist? Let me know in the comments. Don't miss like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.